Welcome to the Fit and Addicts. I'm super excited today. We're joined with Debby Andersen. Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Hi, Susie. I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic today. We have lots of questions for you, so let's just get into it right away. Let's get started with a little bit about your background and area of expertise, please.
Okay. Yeah, so earned my undergraduate studies in dance and psychology. So I've always had this interest in the mind-body connection from all the way back then. And I discovered yoga while I was traveling in India. So I'd been exposed to it a little bit in the West, but when I was in India, I was just traveling and thought, hey, like when in Rome, right? So I went to an ashram and really discovered not only, like the yoga that we practice here in the West, but I discovered that it was actually much more than that. And at the same time, I was also introduced to Ayurveda because in India, the two systems go hand in hand. And that was in 2005. In 2006, I went back to India to get certified in yoga and also did an Ayurveda course. And I've been teaching yoga ever since, so since 2006, almost 15 years. And then I continued to learn as much as I could about Ayurveda after that. On my own, just through reading and self-study. There wasn't really a lot of teachers that I could learn from at the time. And so finally in 2012, I decided I just need to go study this, like dive into it. And so I moved to New Mexico and went to the Ayurvedic Institute and became a certified Ayurvedic practitioner. And I've been practicing Ayurveda since then, so for about 8 years. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, Ayurveda comes up quite a bit amongst my clients. It's a very hot topic. So, what exactly is Ayurveda?
Yes, this is a great question. So the word Ayu, this comes from Sanskrit. Ayu means life, and Veda means knowledge. So Sanskrit is a language that says a lot in a very little, like a little word. You can like really unpack the meaning of that word. So you could unpack Ayurveda to mean like the science of life or the how to support a person's longevity, or really it's like the art of living your best life. It's a path of healing based in learning how to understand and support your own life force. And it's through diet, lifestyle, proper self-care, and through that self-knowledge, really. One of the basic tenets of Ayurveda is that each person is unique. And so it's not a one size that fits all thing. It's really based in individuality, and what works for one person is not going to work for everyone across the board. And in providing that information or insight, it really provides this framework for self-understanding and self-learning.
Wow. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Bringing in, like you said, not just the nutrition side or the physical side, but it's a holistic approach to
Absolutely.
living your better life. And who doesn't want to live their best lives?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the Ayurvedic yoga approach. How do you blend those two? How do they come together?
Yeah. So in India, like I said, they're two sides of the same coin. Like they're really integrated there. Um, Ayurveda is the lifestyle approach to a spiritual path through yoga, and yoga is the spirituality of Ayurveda. So in Ayurvedic yoga therapy, again, based in this idea that each person is unique and an individual, and what works for one person isn't going to work for everybody, we apply this Ayurvedic framework to understand a person and then recommend specific yogic practices based on what's going to work for that person through that Ayurvedic lens. A lot of what we see today in the yoga world is very fitness based. And it unfortunately makes yoga really inaccessible to a lot of people. A lot of people, go to a yoga class, try it, and they're just like, no, I can't do that. It's too much. And so Ayurvedic yoga therapy is really, you know, a way of applying this understanding of a person's unique needs and applying those yoga practices that will best serve them. And anyone can do. I mean, someone who can't walk can practice. I practice yoga. It's just about learning, like, where can they start. You have to meet the person where they're at, and then that's where they can learn and grow. And I think that's something that's in a lot of the fitness based yoga, gets lost. So
I agree. I definitely agree. Being in the fitness industry, you're absolutely right. There are individuals that feel somewhat of a limitation when it comes to yoga if they can't get down to the floor and get back up
right.
because they see individuals doing yoga on a floor on a mat. And so right off the bat, they're thinking it's not for them. So
Right.
excellent that you're sharing this information with us. Who would be then the ideal client for the yoga therapy?
I would say a person who's looking to heal themselves through yoga, or who's maybe been told, like, oh, yoga would really help you, but maybe they fit in that demographic of, like, they've tried a class and they're just like, no, it feels stressful, right? It feels like overwhelming, like it's not providing the stress relief that yoga is known for if they're stressing themselves out trying to keep up with a teacher that's teaching a really fast-paced class.
Mhm.
So anyone looking to heal themselves through yoga, and also who's willing to put in the work, because yoga won't do itself. Like, you have to
Mhm.
show up, and to show up to yourself, really, and show up with that mindset of, okay, let's see what comes up today. I think yoga is best approached through a lens of curiosity rather than, like, let's just get it done. Like, it shouldn't be a thing that you want to just, like, check off your list. It's a state of mindfulness and presence. And so someone who's looking for that or willing to put in the effort to attain that.
So when we say healing, the yoga healing aspect of it, when someone may think of healing and feel like healing from a chronic disease, healing from pain, healing, what types of healing? Is it internal? Is it a physical, mental?
It can be all of it. Um, you know, yeah, yoga is yoga and Ayurveda both. I mean, they're healing systems, and healing is really, in my view, a path toward becoming whole, like a path toward really becoming a whole person and becoming rooted and centered in self. Ayurveda defines health as being one who is situated in oneself. So
Mm.
that, to me, is always kind of like a guiding framework of what does it mean to be healthy? Like, yeah, it's, feeling good and all this other stuff, healthy body, healthy mind, healthy emotions, good digestion, all of these things, but also that essence of feeling at home in yourself. So, yeah.
Well said, Debbie.
Thank-
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other services you provide, like breath work. What is that, and what are some of the benefits?
Yeah. So breath work, the breath, in my view, and in according to yogic teaching, the breath is the link between mind and body. So through the breath, we can affect the mind, and through the breath, we can also affect the physical body. And so it's this bridge, right, where we
Mhm.
can affect everything, and it's so healing to the nervous system. Um, Through different breath techniques, you can actually create a state of excitement in the nervous system. You can create a state of parasympathetic relaxation in the nervous system. And I think through breath work, we create an adaptability to be able um, to experience both of those extremes, of activation and relaxation, of, like yin and yang in Chinese medicine. It's really being able to experience the duality of our
Mhm.
lives, but
Hmm.
also to not get stuck, because so many of us get stuck in that sympathetic stress, fight or flight state, or kind of like not quite there, but like sub, fight or flight state where we're just kind of like in this constant state of chronic stress.
Hmm.
And we don't have an adaptable nervous system that can like move into that state of stress and then also move out of it into a state of relaxation. And I think that's something that we all, could use. We definitely all need more relaxation, most of us, anyways. So yeah, I think that breath work is one of the things that can really help with that. It's also been one of the best tools for healing emotional stuff. Any kind of emotional connection to or emotional factor in a disease or illness, I think that the breath is one of the best ways to really access and heal that.
Oh, wow. Now, would the breath work also be a good tool to utilize for dealing with grief?
Absolutely, actually. Um, it's interesting that you bring that up because Ayurveda teaches that the lungs are the seat of grief in the body. So there's different organs that are associated with different emotions, and the lungs are
Mhm.
specifically associated with grief. So yes, I think the breathing techniques can be really powerful in healing from grief. At the same time, I think depending on how recent the
Mhm.
experience of loss is, I think each person will come to it when they're ready. Or you might want to ease into it, or you know feel it out like when you're actually ready to do that, because I think sometimes when it's really really close to the loss, and if it's really traumatic, it can be too much probably to go right into some breath work.
Mhm.
And I think that's where some more gentle techniques like mantra, chanting, things like that, that can just kind of restore the nervous system, but in a more gentle way, than accessing the breath directly. Certain breaths could be helpful, but I know, like
Mhm.
from my own experience, it can be really hard to breathe when you're in that state of grief. So
What I really appreciate about the services you provide and the teachings and is that these tools, these strategies can be utilized daily for the rest of our lives, like you said, for living that best life. Because our lives are, for the most part, we do have the ups and downs. We do experience a full life, and having those resources and tools available to us give us the capacity to not only manage the situation, but to thrive, no matter what is going on at that particular time. And I think that's very powerful. I think that's very uplifting. And it gives you a sense of no matter what's going to come my way, I'm good. I'm going to be okay.
yeah.
And that sense of just security.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's one of the things that these practices, or these implementing an Ayurvedic lifestyle and yoga into your lifestyle really helps to create that adaptability and versatility and resiliency, so that when
Mhm.
life does hand us a stressful circumstance, which it will, we're better able to respond to that, rather than if we're already in a state of stress and then we're also handed another stress that is outside of our control, then you know it can be pretty overwhelming. So
And what a fantastic other resource and tool that does not happen to include, the traditional Western medicine where we are, taking some type of medication, to help with those situations, to help us get through some of those situations. I'm sure, there is a time and a place for that, but I think that what we're discussing today really is an excellent alternative to explore for those types of situations.
yeah, definitely. And it can work. It can really help to support a Western protocol too. So sometimes you're right that Western intervention is very much needed,
Mhm.
to get someone through an acute, situation, or even sometimes long term. But these practices can really support and integrate with that,
Okay.
to make those, those medications more effective. So.
Excellent. So, Debbie, tell us a little bit about this spring cleanse that you have coming up.
Yeah, so every spring and every fall, I guide a group cleanse. And I love this experience because I think it's really one of the best ways to learn Ayurveda experientially, and to learn about yourself. It's a really, Ayurvedic cleansing is not a fad. It's been around for thousands of years. It's not a fast. You can eat as much, you want to eat until you're satiated, and you shouldn't feel excessive hunger. It's very gentle and nourishing, and especially in the ways that a lot of us can, tend to reach for comfort through maybe not the healthiest avenues. This is a way of like giving your body a break, and finding some other tools that can also be comforting, but aren't going to have, the toxic buildup in our systems that say reaching for sweets or cheese, or the kind of foods that are comforting but maybe
Mhm.
not the best all the time. um, it's all about simplifying. It's about simplifying the diet to be easy to digest so that it gives your digestive system a break, and simplifying the routine by incorporating some practices that will help you feel more grounded and calm, but also kind of getting rid of anything that's not necessary in your daily routine. How much time do we spend watching TV or on social media, or just kind of
Mhm.
giving yourself a break from these things that maybe aren't nourishing you, in the best of ways. And
How long is I'm sorry, how long is the cleanse?
it's a total of 14 days.
Mhm.
And there's three phases. There's the pre-cleanse phase, which is 3 days of kind of just getting used to it, right? Getting used to the routine and the diet, kind of transitioning into a cleanse. And then the middle 7 days is where we're doing the real cleansing. That's where we're eating a very simple diet, of khichdi, which is a traditional Ayurvedic healing food of rice and dal.
Mhm.
And then there's a specific protocol that we do to, internally and externally lubricate the tissues so that the toxins can be easily released. And then we do a purgation to like clear out all of those toxins that have been released at the end of that 7 days. And then the final 4 days is really about rebuilding, rejuvenating, making sure that we rebuild so that we're not just, moving out of the cleanse in an unconscious way, right? We want to really take that time to, reset everything and make sure that our digestion is strong, our body is strong, our nervous system is resilient, so that when we move out of the cleanse, we're better able to handle the real world.
Exactly.
Maybe the not
And
so
that
real world.
the spring cleanse begins when?
So it begins April 10th, and
Okay.
today's technically the last day to register. Although I always have stragglers that want in, and I can make some allowances. Um, but yeah.
Excellent. Any other upcoming events, Debbie?
Um, let's see. I have an Ayurveda class, that I'll be teaching starting the end of April. And that is a class on, Ayurveda, how to integrate yoga and Ayurveda, for people who generally have had a yoga practice of some kind, but want to
Okay.
learn more about the Ayurvedic component to that. So I
Hmm.
have that coming up at the end of April. I do monthly breath circles, which are a time to come together and kind of, there's community like sharing and setting intentions, and then we do a breathing meditation, in that, and that's usually around the new moon. So I haven't set the date for it yet this month, but it'll be coming up soon in a couple weeks.
Excellent. Very, very good. Now, you definitely are a fitnatic. I'm sure of that. So, if you don't mind, can you share with us what is your favorite yoga pose?
So it changes, but I would say right now, downward facing dog. I'm like, it just feels so good in my body. And I don't know if it's because I need to be turning my world upside down or it feels, really grounding and expansive at the same time. So I don't know. I understand why dogs want to do it all the time. It feels good.
It does feel really good.
Yes.
Excellent, Debbie. And tell us how someone can reach you for more information to work with you.
Yeah. So the best way to contact me is through my website, which is Debby Andersen, and it's Debbie with a Y, Anderson with an E. Debby Andersen, so DebbyAndersen.com. And I have a contact form there and all of my contact information. So
Excellent. Thank you, Debbie. We appreciate all the wonderful information you shared with us today. I want to thank you for your time.
thank you, Susie.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Fit Fanatics today.